I begin with two propositions. First, technology is not simply apparatus and instrumentality. It involves a complex structure of social organization, institutional power, and cultural meaning. Second, the social interpretation and meaning of biotechnological innovation are often overlooked in policy analysis, but they are a key to a deliberative process of social learning and adjustment, and to the normative consensus formation that will allow any regulation of biotechnology to be truly effective. The biotechnological revolution involves the extension of human power into life, living nature at the molecular level, as its concepts and styles of thought colonize professional, therapeutic, and counseling discourse, and as it is absorbed into popular culture, biotechnology begins to shape the experience of all of us. This triggers a quest for new symbolic forms with which to make sense of, to civilize this new power. The positive framing of biotechnology is nearly ubiquitous, except perhaps within the domain of reproductive medicine. And yet, there is an unease that surrounds it. There is something uncanny about fabricating life with nearly the same facility that inorganic matter and energy are manipulated. I believe that this unease does not stem solely from the concern that biotechnology will be misused by human agents. It also grows out of the realization that institutionalized structures of power, state and corporate, have an agency of their own, so that power is not something we use or abuse, it is something that uses or abuses us. The distinction between rightful and wrongful use of this power urgently requires clarification. A global bioeconomy is being built rapidly. The normative ethical work proceeds slowly. So much by way of prologue. I now turn to four aspects of our cultural context, which I believe have a profound effect on the reception of biotechnology. First, the end of value neutrality. In the post-war period, a consensus gradually developed concerning authority, expertise, and progress in science and technology. It was a consensus centered around progressive values, economic growth, social modernization, and the betterment of life through technological advance. And a new kind of cultural and political framing has emerged in recent years, which is less prone to see technology as the amelioration of the human condition and more prone to discern in the development of new forms of control over individuals as material bodies, reproducing, laboring, neurochemically behaving bodies. Second factor, I would call anxiety concerning normative chaos in the external landscapes of our lives. Today, the global economy is a mechanism for churning individual lives. Even in the most affluent societies and the most powerful nation states, people are being confronted with personal dislocations that challenge their efficacy and control. Third, anxiety concerning the moral disorder of the interior landscapes of ourselves. Social critics are asking, have we now created a culture of narcissism and desire so insistent that it cannot be regulated, channeled, or constrained? As this concern matures and spreads throughout the culture, it offers a respectable counter-narrative to technological boosterism. Biotechnology is being developed and marketed by private corporations that we can no longer trust to be publicly responsible, nor even constrained by market competition. Strike one. The biotechnology industry is being regulated by government agencies that are captured and whose ideological heart is not in the activity of regulation anyway. Foxes are not only inside the hen house, they are managing it. Strike two. And the consuming public has no moral compass to serve as a restraining force on biotechnology either, for they cannot say no thank you to anything that offers them or their families health, enhancement, or longevity. Strike three. Finally, loss of trust. America has a public philosophy that is intellectually and morally robust, but practically stymied. It calls for the preservation of individual dignity, for equitable treatment and fair opportunity for all. It envisions governance as the working of a well-ordered, just society of free and equal persons. But there is a growing perception of a gap between these standards and the actual facts of contemporary governance, between who we believe we should be and what we actually are. Cognitive dissonance is our common lot, suspicion and cynicism our modus vivendi. Let me conclude by outlining a couple of frameworks of critical response to the development of biotechnology that I think we need to take seriously, even though they have as yet very little traction in the policy and science governance debates. The first is the precautionary principle, and for want of time, I'm going to skip over that one. I think it's pretty familiar. The second one I would identify, I call the liberal humanist frame. The first one, the precautionary frame, might be thought of as an argument from prudence. The liberal humanist frame, an argument from dignity, and the ontological frame, the third one, the argument from nature. So the liberal humanist frame, or the argument from dignity, the focus of this frame is centered mainly on human harm and justice. Note that harm is used broadly in this response frame. Like the precautionary principle, it includes biological risks and harms to functioning ecosystems, biodiversity, and human health, but it also encompasses a damage to traditionally meaningful ways of life. The justice aspect of this critique center on the problem of access to beneficial biotechnological knowledge and resources. In addition, the liberal humanist critique of biotechnology revolves around the cultural and conceptual implications of the materialism and reductionism inherent in the molecular turn of biology. Critics see the prospect that biotechnology will undermine the conceptual foundations of our very notions of the moral worth of the human individual and human dignity. Finally, ontological concerns, or the argument from nature. The cultural reception of science is deeply affected by ontological orientations which pose the question of the right relationship between human agency and the rest of being. To answer this question, natural being must be conceptualized. In general, there are three concepts of nature that are germane to our topic. I will call these nature dead, nature transcendent, and nature alive. Nature dead is Cartesian, natural being is material without meaning except insofar as it serves human purposes. Nature transcendent places all being in a teleological narrative. Being is a becoming toward fulfillment. The norm of right relationship for humanity is to accommodate and live in accordance with that narrative. Finally, nature alive is biocentric or ecocentric. It holds that value in the world resides in the natural and biotic context of which human individuals and societies are a part. Therefore, there is a natural standard of ethical rights and duties, which can be understood in terms of the systems of interdependency, relationship, sustainability, and resilience. Prudence, dignity, and nature. These critical frames leave us with daunting, chastening questions. Does biotechnology promote or impede right relationship between human beings and nature alive? Is the molecular view of life finally compatible with an ecosystemic perspective? If not, does this conflict matter, socially and culturally? Does biotechnology promote or impede right relationship among human beings themselves? Is it possible to embrace life better than life without letting life unworthy of life crawl in through the back door? When someone looks back at our age of biotechnology, will it be unambiguous to describe it as a time of progress and enlightenment? Thank you.